A classic, no question. Going to overtime, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers fall 32-30 in Regina to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Winnipeg loses their first game in 6 games, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders win a second straight game over to the BC Lions and now over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So don't sleep on the West Division. Things just getting fired up. A headbutt that will be talked about for months. A decision, controversial, or maybe no decision was made, but to take and concede a single to make it a 3-point ball game. And overtime. Was it a catch on the 2-point convert? We have got video highlights, analysis, and your comments here on Game Day After Dark. Welcome inside, everybody. Bonfire Sports. My name is Darrin Bauming. Here is the man, Zach Schnitzer, joining us. Schnitzy, first thoughts on a game that brought so much.
Oh man, that Labor Day Classic had me more stressed out than my wife's Labor Day Classics when she was in labor with our 2 kids, buddy. That was crazy. So much happened. I'm obviously gutted as a Bomber fan. Like, I'm gutted. To lose in overtime when you're up 24-20, the single point we gave up looks bad in hindsight against a guy making his 3rd start, albeit being 6'7", who cares, right? Just a classic game on the one hand. So it's sort of a tale of two cities for me. On the one hand, it's a classic game that we'll always remember. It was exciting. It had so much with the headbutt and the single point and overtime and so much, right? And controversy on whether that 2-point convert catch was good by Bain. It looked like it hit the turf.
We'll take a look at it.
Crazy penalties in this game, and this game had everything. So on that point, it was exciting as a CFL fan, but as a Bomber fan, to lose Labor Day always sucks. But to lose it that way really sucks when you're up by 4 late in the 4th quarter against a 3rd string quarterback. It's kind of brutal as a fan. I'm kind of gutted.
Well, can you even call him a 3rd string quarterback at this point? He has led the Saskatchewan Roughriders to back-to-back wins over the 2 best teams in the West Division. He threw for 300 yards tonight, and we will look at the stats. We've got video highlights of the headbutt, the decision to concede the single to make it a 3-point game, overtime as well. We will watch all of this and talk about it here on Game Day After Dark. Great to see everybody in the live chat. Can you say that about Jake Dolegala, though? You know what? We'll get to Jake Dolegala. We'll get to the numbers and all of that. Let's talk about one of the most controversial plays that will be talked about for months. I would say when we're in Hamilton for the Grey Cup, people are going to be talking about the Canadian Football League and the way that they choose to handle quarterbacks, head injuries, and whether they're doing enough. Quarterback Zach Collaros took a headbutt after the play to a clearly overly fired up Pete Robertson. Dangerous, careless, selfish, egregious, frankly, Zach, idiotic. The way that he just goes up to Collaros and headbutts him. And then he stays in the game. He was on the field that entire time. Prukop comes in as Collaros comes off, and Pete Robertson is there. I don't get that. How do you keep that guy in the game? Ridiculous. Supplemental discipline? It's an if, but it's not. It's going to come down.
Doesn't matter to me, buddy. Whatever supplemental discipline they give, it's going to feel hollow. The fact that he's allowed to stay in the game after doing something like that, especially to a quarterback where you're trying to protect quarterbacks. Zach has a concussion history. It was a disgusting play. Like, it's just, I'm sure even Rider fans think he should have been ejected. Even Rider fans who are as rabid as we are, Darrin, they love the CFL. And you can't love the CFL and think that he should have stayed in the game.
So what we're seeing now
can't allow that.
what we're seeing right now is the play in question. And there it is, an incompletion tipped at the line of scrimmage. And you don't really see what happens there, but there's Liam Dobson and Chris Kolinkowski, Olivera holding Kolinkowski, Pat Neufeld coming in, having words. Clearly, the guy's not happy with what we will see in just a second as we'll let the tape play. But you're right. The CFL made a mistake tonight because the command center and the concussion spotter, they all say, okay, Zach Collaros took a shot to the head. And, you know, hey, there's Coach Craig Dickinson. Maybe he didn't see it, but there's Ben Major making the call, and that's unnecessary roughness, 15 yards, Pete Robertson. And here we'll get a look at it. The mistake is seeing this play. Like, because there's Pete Robertson. Look, it has nothing to do with football. And even Micah Johnson, their number 4 for the Roughriders, is like, what are you doing? I want to pull that back. Oh, yeah. Just Micah Johnson, Pete Robertson's teammate, arms out. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Pure idiocy. And I'm surprised Pete Robertson didn't get murdered by a bomber or two after that. I say that obviously tongue-in-cheek, but, you know, anytime you see a coach react, like, it's clear maybe he didn't see it, but Collaros takes a knee, and here, talking with the officials, not happy at all. Not happy at all. Mike O'Shea getting some clarity here. And Zach Collaros, he's upset that Pete Robertson is staying in the game, no doubt. He's not upset that he's being pulled off the field because he did take a knee, right? And he took his helmet off. And
yeah,
I don't know if you caught that there, but here's Mike O'Shea. I'm thinking the words BS come out of his mouth there, and rightfully so. The fact that Pete Robertson can stay in the game is the most egregious of all of this, because it was after the play. It had nothing to do with football. And I'm almost lost for words, Zach. Ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely ridiculous.
I'd be fascinated to know what the rule is in terms of how, like, is it the rule that you have to take 2 15-yard rough play or unnecessary roughness calls, right?
Well, look,
to get ejected?
If you do take those multiple, you are ejected. But that's not the only way you can be ejected. You can be ejected for being an a-hole. You can be ejected for doing something dangerous. And Pete Robertson did all of that and then some. The officials had every power, every ability in their power to remove Pete Robertson from the game. And the fact that they didn't is such a damnation on what's going on in the Canadian Football League. Zach Collaros has been a vocal champion of this. And in that sense, I just mean, you know, look, he's the 2-time reigning MOP. He's the face of the franchise here in Winnipeg. He's the face of the league in a lot of respects. And what can he say beyond casual here and there comments of the CFL doesn't do enough to protect quarterbacks? And he will say it again this week. He said it on, you know, I didn't hear it, so I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he has said it to us here in Winnipeg and has said it before that, you know, they don't protect quarterbacks. And look, if that was between an O lineman and a D lineman, you could argue that a player should be ejected for that. But the fact that it happens to a quarterback, where any contact with their head could be a fingertip, it's been called in the past in the league. In this league, a glancing finger, like, you know, across the head or the back of the helmet or the face mask, penalty. But a play happens, the play ends, the defender turns around And while jawing the quarterback, using his words, he decides to use his body and thrust his head into Zach Collaros. Helmet to helmet. Unbelievable. And if that happens, you got to remove the player from the game. You've got to.
Yep. Otherwise the league is bush league. Otherwise it's a joke. Don't you think?
Yes. I don't like that term because it gets thrown around a lot with this league. Oh, it's bush league. It's an error and it needs to be fixed. It's egregious and it needs to be fixed. Period.
I don't think the term bush league should be thrown around. I only use it sparingly, but
I know
get
you
what you're
do, but
saying.
others don't. And you know, we've got thousands of people watching this program every week, right?
Yeah.
That's why
It's just sickening.
our words
It's
lead others.
sickening.
Yeah, it is.
It's sickening. It's like, and on a night where there was a unnecessary roughness from Cameron Lawson for a high hit that didn't do any damage to Dolagala, but they're going to call it for any head contact. Like,
this shouldn't happen during a play.
right.
And it happens after the play. That's why Pete Robertson needed to be removed from the game. Okay?
Well, you have to send a message.
Yeah, you got to send a message. And during play, shit happens, right? Glancing blows, split-second decisions, all of that. It's football. It's physical. Mistakes happen, and they can be a mistake, but if it's in the confines of between the whistles.
Yeah.
But that had nothing to do with football. Nothing. And the fact that you let that player stay in the game is the problem. We can talk about quarterbacks and head injuries and all of that all day long. That's aside for the moment. If that happens after a play, you have to remove that player. That is not a professional player if they choose to do that. And we've shown it a whole bunch of times here. He throws his head at the helmet of Zach Collaros. That's a headbutt.
Mm-hmm.
With intention.
A headbutt for a butt head.
Yeah, that's putting it lightly, right? That's putting it lightly.
Like I was saying, Darrin, like earlier in the game, Cameron Lawson got a roughing the passer, unnecessary roughness on Dolagala. And it was a football play where he sacks him. It's a good play, but his head just, he hits Dolagala on the head. It doesn't injure Dolagala by any means.
Yeah.
But they're going to call it, and they should call it. If you're going to call that, then by God, you've got to do something drastic when it's an intentional hit to the head after the play. Like, have you ever even seen something that comes close to that after the play?
Yes.
A headshot like that?
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is the Vernon Adams Jr. one in 2019, where he takes off Adam Bighill's helmet and starts hitting him with it.
Swings it at him, yeah.
That's the only one I can think of, but my God.
If I remember correctly, I don't think Vernon Adams Jr. was removed from that game either. It would be disqualification.
He should have been.
Yeah. Sorry?
Yeah. He wasn't removed, but he should have been. Yeah. But the Bombers lost this game, so I just want to preface by saying that they lost. It sucks. But even if you're a Rider fan, I think it takes away from how you feel as a winner that one of your players did that and got away with it. We shouldn't be talking about this at a Labor Day Classic. That was a classic. It was a true classic, Darrin. It went into overtime. Yeah. There's all sorts of controversy in this game and swings of emotion and swings of play, and we're talking about this. And we should be talking about this.
Yes.
But it's sad. It's sad to me that we're talking about this.
I'm glad we've had the moment right off the hop to talk about it, but I'm with you. Let's move on. Because this conversation is far from over on the headbutt from Pete Robertson. But you're right. a classic game this was. And going to overtime, lots of moments in this game that could be your bonfire burning point. We are going to watch more video highlights of the game, including that controversial conceded single to make it a 3-point ball game that effectively allowed the Saskatchewan Roughriders to tie the game with that late game Brett Lowther field goal, which is a heck of a field goal, by the way. But we're also going to talk about what we saw in overtime and get all of your comments. People texting the Bonfire hotline, 204-816-TIPS, 816-8477, standard message rate supply, just like when you're texting your mama. People have been texting the hotline. People have been joining the live chat. People have been tweeting at me, tweeting at you too, Zach, about this game tonight. Great to see the engagement. Great to see everybody in the live chat. Yeah, Jeff Cabilla's kick coverage is the poop's poop. Pull that up on screen. Yeah, I think shared sentiment by many, no question.
Yeah.
But where do you want to start? Do you want to start on the single? Do you want to start on the, very, very slow start to the game and to the first half, really, by Zach Collaros? You texted me during the game and you said this team lives and dies by the long ball.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think well into the second, maybe the third quarter, Darren, I didn't see more than one pass by Collaros that was, a 10, 15-yard pass. He was just throwing haymakers. He was throwing bombs. And I like the gutsiness, but sometimes you got to take what the defense gives you. And I'm not, you can't say that's what the defense was giving him because he was throwing into double coverage a couple times. So, if there was double coverage somewhere, then there was man coverage somewhere else. And I just don't quite understand why, he just kept throwing like 40, 50-yard bombs. I didn't quite get it. Now, they probably still should have won the game regardless of how they started, but we could start there. Like the start was, they were down 10-0. They spotted the Riders 10 points on the road. That's not a way to win football games, especially on Labor Day.
Nope, no question. You're right. There's Zach Collaros' numbers: 50% passing for 279 yards, went 13 of 26, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. His most popular target tonight, 8 times. He went after Nick Demski, 5 catches for 118, including 1 second down conversion. But look at that. Only 1 second down conversion amongst the Blue Bombers receivers tonight. They pretty much did most of it on the ground as far as converting first downs. Dalton Schoen, a couple big catches again tonight, 3 for 68. Lawler with a big one, but he finished with 2 for 48 yards tonight. Drew Wolotarski, oh man, what a touchdown grab that was early in the game. That was really, really something. If you look at the Saskatchewan Roughriders offense, we'll mention Jake Dolagala, 326 yards passing. Good gracious. 56% threw the ball 39 times. No touchdowns, no picks, which is, interesting as Jamal Morrow did the damage they needed to do. And then Antonio Pipkin punching in a pair of touchdowns. But, the slow starts, I think, are manageable. And it's always easy to look in hindsight and say, well, hey, this game went to overtime. It was a 4-point game and a 3-point game because of the converted single. And, if Winnipeg was able to get a better start, maybe they'd have a field goal there. So it would be a 6-point game to a 5-point game or something along, or, an 8-point, whatever. You know what I'm saying. 7-point game to a 6-point game. But all of that is hindsight, right? All of that is 2020 vision because of how the game shook out. So yeah, I mean, you'd want a better start. You ask any of those players, they'll say the same thing. We wish we started better. But in the end, Saskatchewan made more plays and they got it done in overtime when Winnipeg couldn't.
Yep. Even though I'm not sure that was a catch on the 2-point conversion to Sean Bain. I
Yeah.
don't like it. Looked like the ground helped him maintain control of that ball. I'd be curious to see what you think in the fire starters because I'm not so sure that that's a catch.
So this is the entirety of overtime we have here. Saskatchewan gets the ball moving pretty quickly. Maybe I'll jump ahead a little bit. Here's the deeper. Yeah, that one was to Tevin Jones that got them kind of within striking distance. And oh no, sorry, Emelis there. But here's the touchdown play. Or sorry, down at the one, and that's the right call.
Yeah, that was a good call.
Yeah, and just jumping ahead a little bit here. Here's the short yardage. And I noticed the Roughriders did a lot of motion, on punt team and on offense. Like, see how they all kind of like rush to the line there? They do a
Yeah.
lot of that, I've noticed. It's interesting, trying to catch Winnipeg, sleeping a little bit or trying to get them to jump. Um, Here's the 2-point convert, and we'll get a better look at it here. Because a lot of people don't believe this was caught. Just getting people texting the Bonfire hotline right now about the 2-point convert, coincidentally. Here's a good look. You know what? Let's see if I can fix this up a bit and get a better look at it. Talk to me, Zach. What was going through your mind at this
Whoa,
point?
fancy. I'm just marveling at your tech wizardry here, buddy. I'm just watching it carefully now myself. That doesn't look like a catch to me. It looks like the
Uh,
ground helps him maintain control.
okay. So I've had a few people
What do you
texting me today, both on the Bonfire hotline and on my own my own phone number about this. So this is at least my first glance. You know what? I wonder if I can zoom in. Let's see.
Let's see
Whoa.
what you can do there, Mr. Gadget.
Yeah.
Mr.
Whoops.
Inspector Gadget. Whoa, you're giving me a seizure here, buddy.
I know. I probably am. Um, I don't know if I can zoom in. Anyway, this is what I'm seeing at least on first glance. You watch his right hand. Okay. Now, right there, you can see that his hand is not on the ball. His left hand is. It's underneath. His right hand is coming down on top of it. Okay. And if the official doesn't have a good line of sight here, I don't know, but he does.
Mm-hmm.
There he secures the ball. Still has not hit the ground. So he has two hands on the ball right now. And yes, it hits the turf, but keep your eyes on his right hand, his top hand right here by his chin. It does not move off the football. See how he even pulls it up off the turf? So I understand the ball hits the turf, but objectively speaking, because that right hand is secure on the top of the ball,
Mm-hmm.
the ground does not help him secure it. He
Okay.
catches it there. See, the hand is off. The hand is on. The ball has not hit the ground yet. Then it does. I would call that a catch.
All right.
That's just my take.
So you're saying it doesn't matter if it hits the ground, it just matters that he had secured it already and that he maintains. Like, what does it matter if the right hard hand doesn't move?
That is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying is that he secured it before it touched the turf.
And then he maintained control,
Yeah,
even though it hit
that
the
right
turf. That's
hand
what you're
did not
saying?
move. It's and there's Winnipeg going right back.
But it looked like the ball moved, even though the right hand moved. Didn't move.
It looked like the ball moved. Well, yeah, because his body's on top of it and it's on the ground.
Right,
But
but I'm saying if the ball moves because it hit the ground, does he have control?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
Um, he secures it. I hear what you're saying. It's like, okay, the left hand. But to me, objectively, that looks like a catch.
All right.
I understand your argument though, because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, the ball's on the ground here. And we should clarify, the Canadian Football League reviews all scoring plays, so they looked at this too. And
Right.
the fact that he like pulls it up off the ground here, we'll just play it in regular slow motion. The fact that he pulls it up off the ground like this, that shows
Mm-hmm.
to me that he has very good control of the ball in his hands. I'm just saying,
And
if that guy was wearing
yeah.
blue and gold, I don't know if a lot of Bomber fans would hate that call.
Are you questioning my fan integrity, Darren? Come
No,
on
not
now.
you.
Well, David Rollins is saying there's some new role. Explain what you mean, Mr. Firestarter, David Rollins. He says, where is it? I think it was a catch, but not to the letter of the quote unquote new rule that the ball did not touch the ground. Anyway, did touch the ground. Anyway,
Well, the
I'm
ball touched the
curious what
ground.
he
That's
means.
clear. Yeah. But does he have control of that ball with two hands? And I think he did.
So you're saying the ball didn't help him make the catch,
The
basically.
ground did not help him make the catch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that I think
Had
that's the
control, then it touches the ground, and the ground did not assist.
right. It just happened to hit the ground, but that's incidental. That's what you're
Yeah.
saying. Didn't help him. Okay.
And
I see your argument.
Here's Winnipeg's 2-point convert in
Uh,
overtime. And then it's game over, just like that. Following the Kenny Lawler touchdown grab, one play, just bang, downfield, Winnipeg goes. Love the aggressiveness of that play calling. But you then suddenly have to dial up your 2-point convert play really quick. Zach
yeah.
Schnitzer mentioned on the OB postgame show with DT and Doug Brown, mentioned that he was having trouble hearing Buck Pierce in his headset. But that's just a heck of a play to tip that ball away.
So if he couldn't hear it, why didn't they call a timeout? Can they not call a timeout? Couldn't Zach have called the timeout? Or told the bench to call a timeout? If you can't
Yeah, I
hear the
mean,
call, I mean that sucks.
possible. I'm not speaking to a specific moment. Kolaris was just saying that he was having trouble hearing Buck Pierce in his
Yeah.
headset. So, you know,
Well, what, the whole game or just that play?
I think he was talking about overtime. I
Yeah.
think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was speaking specifically to the Kenny Lawler play for the touchdown.
Okay.
Yeah. So, he's like, we'll find out later, when they do the film breakdown. But it worked either way. And that 2-point convert play, I don't think was like the wrong call or anything. The Saskatchewan Roughriders make it a heck of a play. And who was it? It was
Jackson Ford.
Yes, Jackson Ford, whose father played for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The backup safety, the Canadian, who is in his first year out of the University of Regina. So he played his college ball on that turf. And then in his first Labor Day game, in his rookie season, he makes the biggest play of the game.
Yeah.
Easily the biggest
pretty
play of the
cool.
game in knocking a ball down at the line of scrimmage as a safety. That's really something.
Yeah.
So you do
That's
have to
very
give credit
cool.
to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They won this game.
Yeah.
And they look like a contender right now. They really do. And I don't know if it's because they're rallying around Jake Dolegala. I don't know if it's because they've shaken off the early season rust. It's got to be tough for a team that goes from a new starting quarterback, a new offensive coordinator, to a backup quarterback in Mason Fine, and now to another quarterback. But they have beat the BC Lions 2 weeks ago, had a bye, and now they've beaten Winnipeg. And it's the Labor Day Classic. You never know what's going to happen. We've seen 7-1 teams and 1-7 teams and the underdog winning and all of those things. We've seen it happen. But I expect Saskatchewan to come to Winnipeg on Saturday for the Banjo Bowl and play just as well. Winnipeg needs to play better because I think, and I'm sure many would agree, Winnipeg is a better football team. But hey, under the lights, between the white lines, that's when you got to show it. So we'll see if Winnipeg can show it and get a little bit of retribution in the Banjo Bowl. They need to. With BC snapping their 2-game losing streak and Saskatchewan surging right now.
Yeah, they really need to kick the living shit out of the Riders next week.
That's some After Dark language.
Come on. They do. Hey, you said it first tonight, buddy. You said it first.
I didn't say living.
Oh, sorry, the dying shit out of the Riders.
Those adjectives, man. You add those adjectives. They add so much more. Live chat is lit tonight. Great to see everybody. Yeah. Keep giving us your comments. We'll do our best to, bring up, your comments and questions if we can. Obviously, a lot going on. I'm trying to play video highlights and have a conversation with my good buddy Zach Schnitzer here on the postgame show. But hit the thumbs up. Go do it right now. And maybe more importantly than anything, tell your friends. Whether you're in Regina, you're watching this on your drive home, or you're listening on the podcast, tell your friends. Don't just, sit there and say, hey, let me play Bonfire Sports for you. Tell them to take out their phone and subscribe. Subscribe on YouTube. Yep. Find it in your podcast app. We've got Jets hockey coverage coming very, very soon. And a little bit of NFL football coverage as well as we take a look at the gridiron game on the state side. But thanks again, everybody, for joining us. This is, this is how you got to break these games down so you can go into the next one with a little bit of insight and knowledge of everything that happened and how it shook down. Because when it's play to play in a game, both as a player and as a fan, it can get kind of all cloudy and muddy, right? The fog of war, as they call it. So here we are breaking it down for you.
Yeah, so let's talk about the single point. Now, there was a point, I'm looking at the Firestarter chat, and I was thinking about this too. When the Bombers gave up the single, but there was a no yards call in the end zone, Darrin. Was that the one where the Riders took it to 21 points? I guess this is right here.
This is the single.
Is this the one where there's no yards?
Yes.
No, not that one.
Oh, it's another one. You're right. Yep, not that
one. So on the other one, if they take the no yards penalty, where do they get it? The 25-yard line?
It's added on, right?
Yeah, I'm just curious where it's added on from. Is it added on from the goal line? Is it added on from?
Oh, no, 10? It's added on from where you take the ball after conceding a single. Yeah. So in this decision,
where would it be from then?
Well, you concede the single, you go to the 35. Why am I blanking?
No, but if I'm no. You go to the 40 if you concede the single, but if you don't concede the single because it was no yards, where do you start from?
Well, no,
Bomber fans saying it's from the 10-yard line because it would be in goal, so you get at the 25-yard line.
It's a 15-yard no yards penalty. So why wouldn't they concede the single? Like, did he take it out? Remind me.
No. This one where the Riders get to 21 points, they concede the single because,
yes.
If they're playing for field position. But on the one before that where they concede a single, they got a no yards penalty in goal. So the question is,
did the single count?
It did. Because the Bombers declined the penalty.
And they get the ball.
No. I understand, but what would have happened if the Bombers would have declined the single and taken the penalty? So no single point. Where did they get the ball?
You can't not concede the single because they conceded it. They took a knee in their end zone.
Right, but there was a no yards call.
And that's
so if you take the
added on.
So you're saying you can't
It doesn't
decline the.
negate you giving up the single. You got tackled in your end zone. A penalty that happens doesn't negate that entire play because they did take the penalty and it was tacked on to where they took the ball.
So you're saying even though they gave up the single, they still get the 15 yards.
Yeah.
So then where wouldn't they then start it at like the
I could pull
55
up the live
midfield?
I could pull up the live play. You tag the penalty on. You tag the penalty on.
I thought the
I could.
penalty negated the point.
Did the penalty negate the point?
It didn't, but I thought it can if you accept the penalty. You can either take the single or the penalty. You can't have the single and the penalty. Was
But
my thinking.
you're asking me about something that didn't happen, but your scenario is what happened. No?
Well, they get the ball in the 40 because they declined the penalty. They declined the 15-yard penalty. They declined the no yards. They say we don't want the no yards. We want to give up the point so we can have it on the
I see.
40 instead of
Right.
the 25. I think is where they would have had it. So that's another point that I'm thinking about as a fan. Going,
Did they get the ball at the
should
40?
yes,
Yeah. So they took the penalty.
no, they didn't take the penalty.
I have to look through the live
We have to look
stat.
at it.
Yeah. I'll take a look at it. Yeah. I mean,
Anyway, there's this other
inconsequential.
single. Well,
Inconsequential.
kind of consequential when it was a 1 point that if they hadn't given up one of those
Yes,
two
but that was a lot
singles,
earlier in the game.
it was a bit earlier. And so, okay, so then
So
there's this other single they gave up.
here's the one that was consequential because it's in the final 3 minutes, right? So it's 3rd and 10. The ball is at the 55, truly midfield. And Saskatchewan kicks it. And Jamal Parker is back. He is the only returner back. And we've talked about this before on the postgame show, right? He's standing at around the 10 or just inside the 10. And if it goes over your head, you let it go. If you're able to take it at the 10 and muster some sort of return, well, then your field position is going to be a lot better, right? That's what I believe the strategy is from Winnipeg's side. So I understand fans don't like that,
Yeah.
but to get the ball, it's still a 3-point game. It doesn't make it a 2-point game. Right?
Right. And where he picked it up in the end zone, like could he have caught that ball like out of the air, or does it go way over his head?
Well, it looks like there it is. It lands at the 2.
So I mean,
Maybe even the 1.
It's one thing if he's standing on the 10 and he could catch it around the 10, but it looks like it landed on the 2-yard line. So
Well, like I was
in
saying,
that case,
we've talked about this before on the post game, right? They will say stand on the 10 or the 8,
yeah,
wherever he is. Stand there. If it goes over your head, let it go. We will concede the single.
right.
It's a cost benefit thing, right?
Well, and if he tries to take it out of the end zone there, Darrin, he probably gets tackled at like the 5-yard line. Right? Like stop it there. If he tries to take it out, he's getting tackled at like the 5-yard line.
I'll stop you though. Him returning it from here, irrelevant. Because he wouldn't be standing at the 10 and say, okay, I'm going to let it go over my head. This is strategy. They are not, this isn't Jamal Parker making a mistake. They will tell him, you stand there. If it's over your head, let it go. We will take the single. That's the strategy. It bounces at the 1 or the 2, right? We'll just say it sure looks like the 1 to me. And then it's at this point, as soon as he's letting it go over his head, that's the decision the team has made. We will concede the single. The cost benefit is if he catches it at the 8 or the 10 or wherever they've told him to stand, then he can get a return that is going to put him somewhere out here. Right?
Yeah.
And if you understand field position and strategy, for those listening out there, there's a huge difference between being on your 5 and being on your 18. Huge difference. the danger of running plays inside your 10 is incredible.
Yeah.
Because you've only got 2 plays. You've got to do something in your backfield, running the ball where you can lose yards, throwing balls, throwing something out to the flats or wide receiver screens, bubble screens, hitch passes, quick slants, that sort of thing. All of those are they're short, quick passes. So the defenders are close to the line of scrimmage. They can jump the route and score. That's
Yeah.
catastrophic.
Well,
So the
here's a question I
strategy,
have though.
yeah.
Well, so why if you're you're within 3 minutes, it's a 4 point game. Let's say you don't want to give up the single. Why not have him stand on the goal line so he can run up and catch it on the 2?
Well, like I just told you, their strategy is for him to stand here. And if it's over his head, it in the eyes and the mind of the Blue Bombers and their strategy, it is more dangerous for them to try to return it from the 2 than to allow the single and take the ball up here.
But I'm talking about the situation, right? Like in a 4 point game, maybe
Yep.
it isn't the smartest. Like maybe you catch it at the 2 and bring it out to the 15 or something. But I guess like
Well,
the
yeah,
way the
okay.
offense.
Whoa. You catch it at the 2 and you bring it out to the 15. That's a big ask. Let's say he catches the ball right here. Let's say he catches it right here. Okay. Who's this? Tackler.
Yeah.
Who's this? Tackler. Both of these guys have an angle. Now, look, these guys might, these 2 blockers for Winnipeg very well may have changed the way they were running down the field or positioning because they saw that it was going over his head. So maybe they've let up a little bit. But if he catches it at the 2, you have a guy on the far side of the field. He's trying to contain, right? Don't allow a fast player to get to the edge and do a big return up the sidelines. And you have this player who's the gunner. He is trying to pressure this player into making a mistake, making a decision quickly, and then everybody else will fill in their lanes. I know this is a little bit of heavy football for the entire audience here, but this is the strategy they have done. It's if he catches it at the 2, he might not even get it out to the 10.
Yeah, that's fair.
To presume that he's going to get it to the 15 is I think it's a little bit,
aspirational.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Stressing, emphasis on the ass. Listen, I mean, you've got to convince me. Like, I think it was the right play. I mean, to get the ball at the 40-yard line, I think the real problem is that the Bombers couldn't saw the win from there. Like, get a few first downs and put the game away. They run it on first down, they get 3 yards, and they throw it on 2nd and 7, and they have to punt it away.
Yeah. And
kudos to Jake Dolagala for his game tying drive. It was a thing of beauty. He gets full credit from me. The headbutt aside and the single point aside and the 2 point convert and all that controversy aside, Jake Dolagala came to play. It was his 3rd start on the Labor Day Classic, and he throws for over 300 yards. No big mistakes. He's only 56%, but no big mistakes, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And people are going to start calling for Richie Hall's head, saying we played too soft, right? Like, you're going to hear all that stuff this whole week, and I'm not sure that that's fair. But listen, it sucks that we lost. Like, I'm pissed. Like, I'm gutted. But it was a great game, and the Riders deserve to win. Even if you ejected Pete Robertson, I still don't think they're gonna lose that game.
Yeah, and it's all going to come down to next week. The Banjo Bowl is going to be awesome.
Oh, it's going to be
because a Riders win always adds a little bit of fuel to the fire that burns inside the Madhouse on Matheson. And this week, the Bombers will be off on Monday and Tuesday. They'll return to practice Wednesday, Thursday, walk through Friday, game on Saturday. Of course, you and I will have Bonfire Midweek, as we always do, our weekly program here on the channel. Wednesday night, 7:30. Chris Walby and I will do the pregame show Friday. And I think we're going to start doing our pregame show at noon instead of 3. So we're going to go noon the day before the game, before Winnipeg
Okay.
Sports Talk. Yeah. How about that?
Sounds good to me. I like noon. I like noon. A nooner.
Yeah. Well, when Chris Walby joins me, we will talk about Walby's Warrior. Who's your Walby's Warrior tonight as we get into our post-game segments here on the show?
Well, my Walby's Warrior goes to Zach Collaros. I thought he had a poor start to the game, Darren, and I don't think he completed a pass till 6 minutes left in the second quarter. But all told, he ends the game with 279 yards. He recovers from that interception to Nick Marshall, and then throws 2 touchdowns, including that one in overtime to Kenny Lawler. So I just thought, he got rattled a few times. He got headbutt. He got jawed by Derek Moncrief. He stayed in the game, and he put up some pretty good numbers considering the magnitude of the game, the crowd noise, the Labor Day Classic. He did enough to win the game, and they just couldn't quite get it done. But he's a warrior to me for taking all that punishment and listening to all that guff from the Riders, taking it and then giving it back.
Yeah, it was a
That's my Walby's Warrior.
it was a tough start for Zach Collaros, including this
Yeah.
this interception to Nick Marshall.
Yeah. I mean,
Needed to
the
pull
the
that
other
up because
yeah,
important context in Zach Collaros' game.
yeah.
Um, you know,
I mean,
they mentioned it on the TSN halftime show. Milt Stiegel, and it was actually Davis Sanchez, I think, who said, Zach Collaros, you're the MOP. You got to come out and show us. And I think he did in the second half.
yeah.
Collaros looked better than he did in the first half. But it's been a tough stretch of games for Zach Collaros. And, listening to him on the post game tonight, fired up, pissed off, it's going to go one of two ways for him. It's either going to continue down a road of a little bit of struggle on the field, or he's going to be able to turn it around. And I'll ask this of Bomber fans. What would you prefer? Would you prefer Collaros plays kind of loose football late in the year, or that he's doing it now and kind of shaking it off? Because my take, I look at, the small things as indicators of what we'll see in the big things. So the small things are when Collaros throws a pick six or throws an interception or makes a mistake, he does not shy away at all. Like the next snap he's on the field, he's throwing dangerous footballs. He is aggressive. He is trying to, thread the needle and hit small windows and hit his guys. That small thing I look at as an indicator of how he handles the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is rebounding from a loss, rebounding from the mental strain that is, playing in a league that, Collaros has been clear, does not like the way the CFL handles protecting quarterbacks, roughing the passer, objectionable conducts, unnecessary roughness, all of this stuff, and the Pete Robertson headbutt and all of that. Okay. He does not like it. I don't like it. A lot of people don't like it, and rightfully so. So how does he handle that emotional, mental strain of that? Because he is exuding, he's expelling energy, being pissed off about that stuff. And he has every right to be pissed off about it. But it is another thing on top of everything else a quarterback or a football player or a professional athlete or coach deals with. So the small picture is the indicator for me. That big picture, Zach Collaros will come out of this stronger, frankly.
I can't wait to see a pissed off Zach Collaros next week, Darren.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I sound like a teenager. I can't wait to see him put the boots to the Riders. A pissed off Zach Collaros. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. That's a good
I
Walby's
love it.
Warrior. I'm going to give a Warrior, like, I think you're right. The offensive line, you could give a Walby's Warrior to. I just want to draw attention to this because it gets lost. You know what? I had a text on the hotline today from Robert, and he said it's time to start putting some shine on Brady Olivera as Winnipeg's most outstanding player.
I like that.
And
Uh,
I don't hate that take from Robert. Is Brady Olivera the most outstanding player on the Bombers this year? He has been so good. Yeah, Kolaris is throwing
Yep.
interceptions. Brady's fumbled. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Nobody plays a perfect game or a perfect season. But Brady Olivera is just coming into his own. There's the agility to go left and cut right. That's impressive in its own right. You know what? I want to show that again. Look at how he cuts from the left, cuts from the right, and then power to push through. Spin, churn, the legs don't stop. It's unbelievable
Yeah.
the way he is able to break tackles. They're all over him.
Yeah, he was crazy
It's
good
awesome.
tonight.
So
Yeah,
I
he
will
was
give
crazy.
my Walby Warrior tonight to Brady Olivera.
It's a good choice. I usually give it to Oliveira, but I think I give him my last two to Zach Collaros.
Yeah.
So I may
Oh,
need to
that's okay.
switch it up.
And
It's okay.
for those of you out there that didn't see it on Bonfire midweek this past week, go back, watch me and Schnitzy chop it up, and I have a one-on-one interview with Brady Olivera, the league's leading rusher. If you missed it, check it out. It's on your podcast app as well. Westwood wide to the right in homage of our good friend Troy Westwood, who I retweeted tonight actually because he was on the money with what will be the Westwood wide to the right tonight. I think you and I will
Yeah.
definitely agree on. Troy Westwood says Pete Robertson should not be walking back into the field. If the command center can take time to review a play as it just did, it can sure as hell review the headbutt. Complete failure by the CFL. That tweeted by my good friend and yours, Troy Westwood. The Pete Robertson headbutt, far and away, the Westwood wide to the right blunder of the night.
Yeah, I think it would do a disservice to think of something else for Westwood wide to the right. That's absolutely a BS play. No
Hit the live
place in
chat,
the game.
everybody. Who's your Walby's Warrior? What's your Westwood wide to the right? I think that one's almost obvious, but give an
Yeah.
honorable mention to another, mess up in this game as we hand out the Westwood wide to the right. How about the Bonfire Burning Point? Hit up the live chat. If you're watching afterwards, hit up the comments. We read them all, even if you're not watching live. Zach, Bonfire Burning Point, the moment that really turned things in. Turn the tides towards the Roughriders capturing another victory.
Honestly, I had all sorts of burning points up until the end of the game, Darren,
Mm-hmm.
because there were points, right? You think of the Tevin Jones 64-yard catch when the Riders are backed up on 2nd and 14, and Demario Houston decides to play hero ball, as our friend Drew Mendel called it, from a legal curve. That was a big one because they were backed up on their 4 and they end up scoring a touchdown on that drive. But I think, to be honest, in a game this close, it just came down to the wire at the end. And I think the burning point is the Sean Bain 2-point conversion, where he catches that. Maybe a bit of controversy as to whether that was a catch, but it is a catch. It withstood command center, although we don't know how we feel about command center these days. But the Riders take it to 32 points. They get the 2-point convert, and we don't. So to me, it's that burning point right there at the end.
Yep. Yep. I like that. I'm going to give my Bonfire Burning Point on behalf of the fans out there because I have no question in my mind that a good chunk, like, I'm a reporter. I try to be journalistic. I don't like to say most. I will say many. I have no doubt that many out there believe that the decision to concede the single with 3 minutes left was the Bonfire Burning Point tonight. Um, if you missed it a little bit earlier, you can rewind back. That's the beauty of YouTube and Bonfire Sports on demand. We talked all about it a little bit earlier, but that's my Bonfire Burning Point tonight. Zach, this is one of the areas of the show I enjoy the most. the Happy Honker Award in homage to the man, the legendary broadcaster, Cactus Jack Wells of CJOB of decades gone by, who would give his or mention the Happy Honker in a post-game show, and the fans leaving Winnipeg Stadium would honk their horns. The moment that brought a little bit of joy, a little bit of happiness, a little bit of good feels to the Bombers game in Regina tonight, the Labor Day Classic, of course.
Well, I hate to do this, Darren, to give it to a rider, but Brett Lowther, the opening kickoff, he dribbles it 10 yards and perfectly lands on it just as it hits the 10-yard mark there. So it's a legal kick. He's allowed to jump on it. And it's the first play of the game. And I just thought, wow, that was ballsy. Nothing to do with Michael Ball, by the way. I'm not a fan of his, but it was ballsy. It was fun. It set the tone for what was a crazy Labor Day Classic. So for me, that was my happy honker.
And here it is.
Oh, you got it already. Yeah, I mean, the cojones to do that at the beginning of the game. I loved it. Even though it was against my beloved Bombers, I loved it.
Yeah, and if you notice, Lowther does it really, really well in that, okay, he kicks it, and then he gets in front of the ball, and he stands. He knows that the 40 is 10 yards. He gets his feet on the right side of the 40, and then knows, okay, I can take the ball now. Incredible job.
Yeah, it was executed perfectly.
But anytime you see a team do something like that right at the start of the game, they know that they're not the better team.
Yeah.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders, any team, when you start doing things like that, you know that you need a swing play. You need an advantage. And they tried to get it right off the hop. Kudos to them. I think it is smart football to be aggressive and do something unexpected when you need that swing play to go your way. So great call by the Roughriders. I had someone, they were either in the live chat during Bonfire Midweek this week, Zach, or they texted the hotline and they said, how come the Bombers, oh yeah, we talked about it on the show. How come the Bombers haven't done any trick plays this year? Well, they haven't really needed to, have they?
Yeah, they haven't really needed to. It would have been nice maybe to get a trick play in this game if they would have helped them win, man. Like, I
They
don't
took
know.
the lead
I don't know.
back.
Maybe a fake punt or something. I don't know. You're not allowed to do a fake knee, though, in the end zone. We learned that a few games ago, hey?
Right.
You're not allowed to do a fake knee. That's a penalty.
You can't do a fake hook slide either. If you're a quarterback running, you can't fake hook slide.
Yeah.
Which I think is a smart play. Smart penalty.
We should, before you give your happy honker, we should talk about Houston trying to undercut that throw on 2nd and 14 with Jake Dolegala, which turns into a 64-yard play by Tevin Jones, which leads to a touchdown. I thought that was my early bonfire burning point, actually. The game went back and forth after that. But what do you think of Demario Houston trying to undercut that? Because on the panel on TSN, I thought they made a good point that I think it was Davis Sanchez. He said, Winnipeg's a better team. They don't have to take chances. He disagreed with him taking that chance. And I'm kind of on that side too. I didn't like it. Now, if he gets a pick six or a sweet knockdown, we're singing a different tune. But I don't know. What do you think of that?
Here it is.
Look at that. They're within the he's already in his own end zone.
And yeah, it's Tevin Jones running downhill, no question. Big play for the Roughriders. But Demario Houston jumping. Let's see if we can pull it up here. Yeah, I don't know if I can do that. Appreciate you guys bearing with me here as I tackle the technology. But there's Demario Houston trying to jump the route on Tevin Jones. The ball's in the air, and it's a good ball from Jake Dolegala in that he knows he needs to get it high and outside to, because Jones is near the sideline, high and outside where the defender can't get it. And because it's high, here's the ball here. Because it's high, Houston may have jumped the route, but the ball is not in that passing lane. He's going high and outside. Smart ball from Jake Dolegala that Jones is able to grab and take a whole long way, a whole long
Yeah.
way. Um,
And then Darren Rose tries to undercut the next ball,
yeah,
and he
Winnipeg
gets
is
burned.
aggressive. Winnipeg is aggressive.
Yeah.
So I have thought on this. And tell me if you're with me or if you think I'm talking out my you know what. Um, First and foremost, Davis Sanchez, good friend of mine. I will always give him the benefit of the doubt because the guy played in the NFL and the CFL, and he is a very, very hardworking uh, analyst. He is very, very good and has that experience, and he knows he's forgotten more football than I'll ever know. No doubt about
Same
that.
here. Same here.
Uh, I believe he's right that Winnipeg doesn't need to do that, but I kind of understand why Winnipeg does that. That's their style of defense. Okay, if I can, I'll do my best to paint the picture. Uh, Up front, they are aggressive. On the outside, they are aggressive, and on the back end, they are very passive. They pressure, pressure, pressure at the point of attack with Willie and Jackson and Big Hill, who had 2 sacks tonight. They bring pressure. Okay. On the edges, they are aggressive. They are, I like to call them riverboat gamblers, right? They're not afraid to, put a stack down on an opportunity to win big. And Demario Houston right there, putting a big stack down for a pick 6. He would have easily scored had he grabbed that. They even mentioned it on the broadcast. And then on the back end, where those big plays can happen, and I know this was a big play. And when you're risking, you're risking something. It's a big play that you're going to allow. But on the back end, the deep stuff downfield, Winnipeg is always pretty passive. Usually pretty passive. The soft zone that you like to talk about, Zach. The bend don't break defense that people have been talking about Richie Hall for years and years. Okay. My thought is there is a bigger strategy to Winnipeg choosing to have someone like Winston Rose and to have somebody like Demario Houston be risk takers. Okay. They want them to study. Like I talked about it with Winston Rose on Bonfire Midweek a few weeks ago. You can go back and watch that too if you want to. Really insightful interview that Winston gave us. You do your study, you read your keys, and if that recipe is right, you take your shot. Houston's been doing it like crazy this year. He's got 7 picks to lead the league. My thought is that the strategy is to be risk-taking on the edge so that opposing offenses, maybe not this one, maybe not the Roughriders today, but the next opponent. I know it's the Roughriders in the Banjo Bowl, but it could work for towards the Roughriders in the Banjo Bowl. Or the Argos when they come to town on September 29th, or the Lions when they host the Blue Bombers on October 6th. Huge games upcoming. That's in the back of the mind of the quarterback, the back of the mind of the offensive coordinator or the play caller, that Winnipeg takes risks and that you can't just expect them to be passive in a one-on-one situation, or that you're going to be able to throw a deep out and pick up 7 yards, that it might cost you dearly. And for a quarterback, it could be that split-second hesitation that allows Jake Thomas to get to the quarterback, or allows Cameron Lawson or Ricky Walker or Jackson Jeffcoat to gain the edge and take the quarterback down. Or for a play caller, it just puts that tiny seed of doubt that there's a little bit more risk to this quote unquote safe pass play than there was before because Winnipeg takes those risks. So I believe Davis Sanchez is right, but I also believe that Winnipeg knows that's the case, and they're still choosing to do that because of a bigger picture strategy they have in effectively intimidating their opponent with that aggressive play.
Yeah. Yeah, and you saw in the Calgary game where that was the sole touchdown of the game where he beat them 19-18 on the road. That was Demario Houston pick six. And, that was a bad throw by Mayer. And Houston tries a similar thing, not the exact same play, but he tries a similar thing. So you live by the sword, die by the sword. They're also super aggressive on offense. I would love to know how many passes over 20, 30 yards Collaros attempted tonight. It must have been at least 7 or 8, maybe more. It was crazy. It was crazy. But it's fun to have a team like that, when you compare it to the days of Matt Nichols' game manager style offense, right?
Well, that was fun too.
It was fun, but it wasn't as fun as this. It wasn't as fun as watching a guy sling the ball like Collaros.
What about a
I
little
just
Chris
love it.
Streveler though? That was fun too.
Oh, Strevy was fun, but the Collaros, the first touchdown pass to Wolotarski, which was an amazing diving catch, Darren. He had a guy open in the flat for like a 10, 15-yard pass that would have been complete, but he throws the deep ball. I always say this, if there's two options, he's going to throw the deep ball, and I just love that. Although there are times where I wish he would have thrown a 10, 15-yard pass to extend a drive. But, that's Zach Collaros. He's a gunslinger.
Yep. Yeah, it's exciting, the way he's able to light up Demski, who was a beast tonight, the way he was able
Oh,
to light
yeah.
up Kenny Lawler, not as often as maybe some games, but when it mattered, to see Dalton Schoen scored a touchdown, yeah? Am I wrong?
I don't think so.
No, he didn't get into the end zone. That's my bad.
No.
Yeah, but he's got a whole whack of touchdowns this year.
Bad, Darren. Bad, Darren.
What did I do? What?
You
Because
said he
I'm
got
wrong?
a touchdown and he
I'm
didn't.
wrong about
How dare you?
I'm
How
wrong
dare
about
you?
stuff a lot.
There
lot.
was another thing we were going to talk about, but now I forget. There was a big.
Well, we were trying to get into the happy honker.
Well, what was your happy? I did mine. Mine was the Brett Lowther squib kick at the beginning of the game. What was your happy honker?
Well, I'll give an honorary happy honker to all of the Blue Bomber fans that took the trip out to Regina. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That brings me joy that fans, make the investment, time, energy, money to go see the team in hostile territory. It's awesome.
Yeah.
2 best stadiums in the league: Labor Day Classic, Banjo Bowl, Mosaic, and IG Field. The 13th man and the Madhouse on Matheson. That I will definitely give a happy honker to. But as far as the game, I'll give it to Drew Wolotarski. Great touchdown catch. That's his 5th of the year, right?
Bonfire bump, baby.
Yeah, that's
Bonfire
right.
bump. He appears on midweek and he makes an amazing touchdown catch. Of course.
Yeah.
It's the bonfire bump.
Who needs the bonfire bump? Who should we get next?
I don't know. Anybody on our freaking kick coverage team, Darren? Like, honest to God, how many times did Dolagala have the ball on his own 50-yard line or our 50-yard line? Yeah. It was brutal. It was brutal what we were letting Alfred get away with. I mean, you could argue that lost us the game just as much as the single point or the overtime not getting our own 2-point conversion. We gave them good field position time and time again, and it's been a problem all season. It's brutal. You can't keep doing that. I told you on midweek last time, and my sober second thought, that was my big concern. And I said it's going to bite us in a close game, and I think it bit us badly in this game. I think if we had better kick coverage, I think we win this game. The Riders had amazing starting field position all night long. It's unconscionable. They gotta clean it up. I know it's a new scheme, as Mike O'Shea said in his coach's show, but you gotta get it fixed because this is what will prevent them from going over the top. Let's say in a West Final or a Grey Cup, it's a leaky boat. They've got to fix the leak, buddy. It really bit them today.
Yeah, I agree. It needs to be a lot better. People will talk about the return game too, right? Like
McRae, it was brutal.
McRae and Jamal Parker, but if you missed Bonfire midweek, you missed our health update, and that is what we saw from practice this past week. Janarian Grant, not in equipment, not practicing, but he is running a little bit on his own, and no doubt doing a lot when the eyes of the media aren't anywhere near the team facility. Teodric Hansen, Malik Clements, and Celestin Haba are all closing in on a return from the 6-game injured list. It was 12 months almost to the day that Teodric Hansen suffered an Achilles injury. Clements injured earlier this year. Haba injured earlier this year. Both of those guys were in the lineup to start the season. So,
Yeah.
and then Walby and I talked a little bit about it. To see Alden Darby go on the 6-game injured list
Yeah.
is interesting. Um,
Yeah. What do you make of that?
well, I don't know. I don't know if an injury happened. I don't know. I don't know where the injury happened. Saw him at practice this past week. Of course, they did have a closed practice on day 3, but I'm maybe I missed something. Maybe I missed something. Let me know in the live chat if you guys saw some reportage that I didn't miss, but or that I didn't see and that I did miss. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Can you hide guys on the 6 game so they could get Jamal Parker on in the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, but it's the 6.
Yeah. Well,
Like
he's kind of been on the outs with Richie Hall, so
he's
Gramdy's
not
been
been a
starting
starter,
for.
right? He is a very
Yeah.
high paid American backup.
Yeah.
So who knows? Conspiracy theories abound for people to chat about while they're driving through, the what do I call it? The Badlands of southeastern Saskatchewan and western Manitoba.
Yeah. No, I emphasize
Badlands.
Badlands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not only did the Riders win today, they got a dirty hit cheap shot in there too. I mean, Bomber fans are so freaking pissed off, Darren. Oh my God, it's gonna be so much fun this whole week leading up to Banjo Bowl. Um, not that I wanted the Riders to win. I hate when the Riders win, and I hate it even more when they beat my beloved Blue Bombers. Um, at least nobody on the Riders ran into pill country and downed a beer. That would have been insult. That would have been insult to injury, salt in the wound. But anyway, I'm rambling now. We should do our game balls. You go first.
No, we always let you go first.
Oh, okay.
You're not rambling, man. You're just a rambling man.
I'm just a rambling man. I'm just
Lord, I was
rambling.
born a rambling man.
Sweet nothings to you and the Firestarters. Okay, I've got two. I'm gonna give one to Adam Bighill because he blitzed a couple times and got home a couple of times. He got 2 sacks, Biggie, on Labor Day. That's pretty sweet. I think he
Nice.
had 3 coming into the game. Now he's got 5. So I love it when we can give some love to Adam Bighill, a stand-up guy on and off the field, to use a cliche. I hate when people say on and off the field or on and off the ice, on and off the pitch. It's so overused. But for someone like Biggie, it's not a cliche. He really is a stand-up guy on and off the field. My other game ball, I hate to say it, and you guys are all going to convince me of being, you guys can convict me of being a Rider fan, but Jake Delagala, he gets a game ball. I can't not give him a game ball. It was his what, third start, Darren, ever on Labor Day. What a pressure cooker against a really good defense against the Bombers. Puts up 32 points over 300 yards passing. That route
Yep.
that Houston tries to jump, if that ball isn't thrown right on the money, it's a pick six. Like you said, he threw it high
Yeah.
and wide. Um, give the kid credit. He he won the Labor Day Classic against a better team,
That's a great point
against
by
a
you. That's a great
by a
point by you.
very, very, very good defense, good pass rush.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't give Dolagala some love. That is a hard game to win if you're not a seasoned vet, unless you're Rocky Butler. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that. Um,
No,
Yeah.
I think that's such a great point by you that, Dolagala, that pass that Demario Houston tried to pick off, the one we looked at a few minutes ago. Uh, you're right. A lot of young quarterbacks would have made that mistake and it would have been picked.
Yeah.
He's been playing incredibly well,
Yeah.
and with Saskatchewan's defense and now
Yep.
some strong quarterback play, we know that they've got a pretty decent run game when things are working well. They've got weapons on offense. Uh, I would, you know, I think Saskatchewan could be a serious late season surge. They really,
Yeah.
really could.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a very good defense. They have Alford Alford on returns.
Yep,
They've got Lowther making 53-yard field goals with room to spare. I mean, I hate to say it, but they're a pretty good team.
no question.
Yeah,
Okay, you
they
give a
could
game
make a
ball
late run.
to a Rough Rider, Jake Dolagala. Now who's the objective
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, I know.
Good for
I'm so
you.
objective. I'm giving it to. It's just I'm trying to up my street cred here as a reporter, as a media guy. No, no, I'm not. I'm really not. I'm always going to be a fan first. Don't worry, Firestarters. Don't worry. Don't
Yeah.
have to douse the bonfire right now and walk
Well,
away.
we got that Prairie football bash coming up, right? People are gonna get a
Yes,
chance to chew you out right to your face.
do it. Prairie football bash. I think it's at
Do it.
Finn McCool's again.
Do it.
Finn McCool's on the Saturday night before the game.
No,
Or sorry,
Friday
the
night.
Friday night.
I thought
Friday
it was
night before the
Thursday.
game.
You bought
No,
tickets
it's
for you and I, didn't you? You bought the tickets?
Friday. It's
Are
Friday.
you sure?
Yeah, it's September 8th, Friday at Finn McCool's. If you want to
There you go.
come, hit up Bomber Vixen or what's his name? Michael.
Reaper.
Reaper. Hit up Reaper or Bomber Vixen on Twitter. Um and or hit me up and I'll give you their contact information. You can try and get tickets. I'm not sure if it's sold out yet.
Okay, I'm gonna
But
hit
it's the
this.
annual Bomber Bash.
I don't even know what this is, but for the Bomber Bash. Oh, there you go. It just said
Whoa.
party noise, so I'm like, okay, I'll push that one.
Yeah, that's like a kazoo or something.
Something like that. Maybe I should have done this if it turns into a dance party. Reggaeton.
Isn't that isn't that your game ball? Isn't that, or is that your Walby's Warrior soundtrack?
Oh yeah, I gotta do some better sound effects here. I'll load them up maybe next season. I'm trying to get the hockey going right now. I got too much on the plate,
Yeah.
but we'll work on the sound effects here on Bonfire Sports. Hit up the live chat. I want to know what sound effects do you want to hear now that I've turned them down to a listenable level a couple weeks ago. Good gracious.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
will give a game ball tonight to Nick Demski. He was huge. And
Yeah.
the one run, what was it? It wasn't a run play. It was like a little like pitch to the middle where he was mad at the end of it. He was like, oh, like slams the football, slaps the football,
Yeah.
stomps his foot in the turf. Like he could have broken that huge, but 5 catches for 118 yards tonight. Um, 2 plays of 30 plus yards. A
Yeah.
large, as you like to say, a large of 52 was was a big play. So that was the second longest play of the game. Tevin Jones went for 64. But that'll be one of my game balls tonight. I might only give one game ball tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, you have so much going on with hockey now in NFL. You got to get your sleep. We got to wrap it up here.
Well, yeah. You're the one at the lake with the kiddos. You're just thinking about that bright sunshine out on the water on Labor
Uh,
Day Monday, and you got the kids screaming in your ear. You're like, I need a little bit of shut eye tonight.
oh my God. It sucks to go to bed after losing like that. It sucks. I'm gonna wake up in the morning with a kid in my face. I'm gonna be like, this and we lost. Come on. Come on. Give me a
Gratitude.
freaking break. Yeah,
That's when you
yeah.
have to really look
Gratitude.
inside and
Yeah.
express gratitude that you have a beautiful family, that you're on vacation out at a beautiful lake in the gorgeous wilderness that is the Canadian Shield and Whiteshell Provincial Park, that you have a incredibly good football team to cheer for. You're going to meet up with a bunch of fans on Friday night at Finn McCool's. You're going to go to the game on Saturday. It's the Banjo Bowl. Like the
Yeah, and I'm
rivalry.
bringing
It's
my
a,
daughter. I'm bringing my daughter to the
oh,
Banjo Bowl again. Yeah.
beauty.
She's 2-0 when I've taken her 2021, 2022. Both were like big blowouts. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to
Love
be
that.
fun and I
Good for
think
you.
she's going to have a good time and she's going to have a good time. She like in her young mind like we've never lost to the Riders. We just don't lose to the Riders. Oh my God, I just can't wait for the Banjo Bowl now. I'm just revved up, buddy.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah,
Well, everybody
yeah,
have a great, like you especially, Zach,
yeah.
because you're my guy. But everybody out there, you
Thank
are the
you.
fire starters. You're the reason we do this. So thank you for watching and listening. Thank you for the support. Be sure to share with your friends, family, put it out on social media, word of mouth. Like you're in Regina right now, you're driving home with some friend, whatever. Get them to subscribe. Get them to check out Bonfire Sports. Let them know. Text them to text the hotline 204-816-TIPS 816-8477. And I'll text you back if you intrigue me. You got to bring it. But you and I will do Bonfire Midweek Wednesday at 7:30. Chris Walby and I will
Mm-hmm.
do Game Day Winnipeg, our pregame show on Friday at noon, and then you will join me after the Banjo Bowl for another edition of Game Day After Dark.
Amen, brother. I'll be there.
Should be fun. Should be fun. Well, as I always leave to you around this time, my friend.
People are gonna think I'm half Japanese. Like, why is this? Why is this guy saying? Why is this pasty Jewish guy saying sayonara? But I do. I don't know why. What, you want me to say shalom or lehitraot in Hebrew? No, I'm gonna say sayonara because that's what I say, and now it's a thing. So sayonara, everybody.